up, YouTube? Ryan Panny here. Hope you guys are doing reasonably well. It is time for a review of the new body count record Carnivore, out this past Friday, March 6th. Ice-T's metal band is back. I mean, Bloodlust 3 years ago was hands down my biggest surprise of 2017. I did not anticipate liking that record. It blew past my expectations. I mean, honestly, based on the one before it, Manslaughter, what I went into it expecting was more of that sort of awkward, watered down blend of a little bit of nu metal, a little bit of crossover thrash. But what we got instead was a razor sharp heavy metal record with Ice-T's distinct socio-politically tinged lyrics, much of which is more typical of hip hop than it is of metal, injecting this unique edge to the music. I gotta say, more than any review I've done, I get the most DMs and messages about turning people on to body count, which makes me really happy. That's why I do this. But Bloodlust did have some minor flaws that I chose to kind of conveniently de-emphasize just because of how psyched I was on the record overall. But those flaws, combined with the fact that this isn't generally the type of music that I would enjoy, makes me kind of nervous going into a follow-up. Because those same flaws, you know, some super corny lyrics here and there, a general monotony in Ice-T's vocal approach, hence all the guests he leans on, those same flaws could easily become magnified on a follow-up and totally cripple it. And I did have some mixed feelings here looking over this track list, you know, like a Jamie Josta feature like Pop Bubble, okay, that could be cool. Riley from Power Trip, that could be interesting when he pops up here, but looks like there's gonna be a Motorhead cover. Don't know what the point of that is. Amy Lee from Evanescence doing some guest vocals, that could be questionable. So this is definitely the most nervous I've been going into a new record so far this year. And what immediately works against Carnivore right off the bat is it's got a very thin track list. We're talking about a little bit over a half hour of material here, 10 tracks, 2 of which are cover songs, so we're already down to 8 originals, 3 of which make pretty prominent use of guest vocalists, so we're almost in glorified EP territory here. And look, I love short albums. I love Rain and Blood, I love Earl Sweatshirt, I Don't Like Shit, the first Hatebreed. I'm all about short but sweet. I really am. The problem is, if you're gonna do short but sweet, you can't have a single clunker in there because there's just nowhere to hide the bad material. So what that means is a straight up awful song on here, like No Remorse, which may have had a bit of a hiding place on a more beefed up track list, like a couple moments on Bloodlust did, it ends up being really damaging to this album, because again, there's nowhere to hide. No Remorse feels like if any critic were to write any negative review of a body count song, album, EP, it doesn't matter. This song feels like the caricature that the critic in question would use to describe body count. Completely empty, rambling machismo from Ice-T on top of the most boring chug-a-chug metal rhythms, and these two elements not even necessarily sounding properly matched. They feel a little bit mismatched, especially in those verses. I can't stand this song. It is so Neanderthal and just lowest common denominator. So again, just to drive this point home, with 1 down, that now leaves 7 original songs for us to talk about and hopefully like. Although before we talk about the rest of the original material, I guess I should address the 2 covers. Ace of Spades is all right. They didn't necessarily put their own spin on it or anything, but it's adequate. It doesn't necessarily fit the vibe of the rest of the album, the way that when the band did Raining Blood or did Institutionalize before that, those songs actually felt sort of adjacent to what Body Count does, so it just jumped right into a track list and didn't stand out the way that Ace of Spades does. The Motorhead sleaze isn't exactly their thing, and I don't plan on listening to this again after this, but it's okay. Colors, though, I fucking love. This cover of Ice-T's 32-year-old song, Colors, it feels, in the best way possible, and I really mean this in the best way possible, it feels more like a mashup than it does a remake. It feels like someone edited together classic golden age hip hop with some groovy heavy metal guitars. Kind of like, this is my favorite example of this, it's kind of an obscure example, but there's a Sick of It All remake of the Mobb Deep classic Survival of the Fittest. Go listen to that if you haven't yet, because it's fucking awesome. This really reminds me of that. But yeah, this version of Colors fucking rules. It just more evidence in my ever-expanding case that hip-hop and metal work very well together. The guitars have such a bounce to them, they're really catchy. Ice-T's delivery of his own classic feels, not surprisingly, pretty authentic. It's a really fun one. But now back to the original songs, because the original songs do carry a bit more weight in terms of our overall evaluation of the project. I will say it again, if you're gonna do 8 original songs and you're gonna call it an album, you better not have any egregious flaws in there, because it's gonna crumble the project pretty quickly, and unfortunately, those flaws are here. There are some pretty difficult to digest lyrics in the song Critical Beatdown, which I'm not sure if that was a nod to Ultramagnetic MCs or not. That's what I took it as. It's just that like overly dumbed down tough guy shit that goes a little bit too far for me. I will read for your reference. I got your pussy text, still talking mad shit, but you don't want to meet. You're such a little bitch. Great rhyme scheme there. First off, if this was a rap record being reviewed by rap fans, they would be lighting this fucking thing up over those lyrics. And we gotta hold lyricists to that same standard. We gotta hold them just as accountable in heavy music. I don't care if it's Ice-T. I don't care if he's a legend. We still got, I mean, come on. I come to your fucking hood and beat your ass good. We can't excuse that, come on. Not to mention, in the delivery of these lyrics, the vocal cadences in the song are pretty awkward. In the chorus, and in the pre-chorus where there's just way too much space left in between, and it kind of starts to feel like a guy just rambling over a bunch of riffs, which the riffs are actually pretty good, but yeah, just not a fan of the song. I'm all for in your face, I'm all for confrontational, but it's gotta have a little bit more muscle to it than that. Also, the title track is pretty corny, which starts this record off on an unfortunate foot when he starts talking about watching his mother clean a fish and gut a chicken or something like that. Although, to be fair, that roar in the chorus is enough to ruin the whole song for me anyway. But not all the lyrics on this album are so cringeworthy. The song When I'm Gone, despite having some pretty gaudy guest vocals from Amy Lee, has a great message that I'm sure will resonate deeply. It's this bitter irony of people only expressing true love for their fellow human beings after they die. The direct quote from Ice-T here is, "Don't wait for tragedy to tell them how you feel." And this song, as Ice-T explains himself, was inspired directly by Nipsey Hussle's death. And what I love about it most is that it chooses to take an angry tone. It's not brooding or sentimental or wistful. It's more like, fuck all of you, you're only gonna appreciate me when I'm gone. This sucks. I think it's quite a profound struggle that we all face. Not only appreciating what we have while we have it, including life itself, but also appreciating others while we have them and their lives. This song feels more like an angry, sort of indignant call to action to appreciate others while they're around, including me in this case, Ice-T. Another one I connect with, kind of surprisingly, is Another Level with Jamie Jossa from Hatebreed. This song is the exact opposite of what you would expect Jossa to jump on. It's braggadocious. It's got this slow, menacing pace to it with these bellowing guitars. It's got a gruff melodic hook. It's everything you wouldn't expect, but it works. I like this as a musical backdrop for Ice-T boasting about his come up and talking about his rags to riches story. It has a real anthemic quality to it, and it grew on me quite a bit. The single Bum Rush I also dig. To me, this is Body Count at their best and most focused. It's angry political lyrics and loud in-your-face guitars. It's a sort of veer into thrash territory a little bit. Love the double kick in the chorus here. Also, The Hate Is Real is not only an interesting track lyrically, it's about how when hate is expressed, it's always sincere and always genuine, but when love is expressed, it is rarely sincere and usually phony. Not only is the song interesting lyrically, but musically, it's very Slayer-esque, both in terms of the sort of South of Heaven style chorus and also that balls out thrash fest that happens later in the track. But yeah, that's 4 songs in total that I'm all in on, in case you've been counting. 3 if we're just talking about originals. I like Another Level, I like Bum Rush, I like Hate Is Real, and Colors is a very cool cover. That's an uneven fucking record. I still am generally entertained most of the time. I still feel like Body Count and Ice-T are making the type of music that should have come out of the nu metal scene. They're kind of like righting a wrong and filling a void like 20 years later. And Carnivore does have the same hard-hitting production that Bloodlust had, just Bloodlust had a much more muscular set of songs. There's a great EP in here somewhere if you cherry pick the right tracks, but not a great album. It can be pretty fun at times, and Ice has a lot of personality, but it's a pretty thin body of work once you start poking some holes in it. Carnivore gets a 5 out of 10 from me. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video and are not yet subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so by clicking right over here, as well as checking out any of the other rock or metal related content that I publish here on a weekly basis. I really appreciate you watching, liking, disliking, just engaging in any fashion. Twitter, Instagram handle @RyanPannyMusic. Again, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you soon.